Yo, what is up? It is YB, and welcome back to another episode of Feed Your Mind. Nuggets designed to remind you of the goodness of God. I'm personally excited about today's episode because I'm going to talk about 2020. I know that this one episode can go all over the place, but I really want us to back out, to step back, and really look at what God is doing. Very easily, we could look at this year and be so discouraged. Nothing has went right. We got coronavirus. Everything happening with George Floyd. This entire year has just completely went left field. Now, let me let you guys in on a little routine that I do every year. Around December or maybe early November, I start to write down my goals, my ambitions, some things that I really want to focus on, my initiatives. I like to be focused. I like for as much as possible for me to be ahead of the curve. 2017, I did it, went phenomenal. I got a lot of clarity. 2018, did the same routine, came out with so much clarity. 2019, did my same routine, came out with clarity, initiatives. I had a path that I was forging towards. I did the same routine at the end of 2019, and I have never been so confused. I was writing stuff down and I didn't feel convicted about it. I was writing stuff down and I wasn't moved by it. Nothing really jumped off the page to me. Not that the goals weren't big enough, but I didn't feel that spiritual tug to this is what you're going to contribute towards your purpose. This is going to push you closer to your purpose. I don't want to be busy. I want to be effective. So as I wrote all of these things down, nothing stuck to me. And I kept praying and I said, well, God, I'm trying to be a good steward of doing everything in front of me. I'm trying to be a good steward of taking care of the things that you've put before me. And I was struggling to get clarity. Well, God said, don't write anything down. I remember him clearly telling me to pray about everything that you have a passion to do. He said, write the things down, but pray over everything that I put on your heart to do. So I started to write everything down. I didn't really get into a formal plan or anything like that. I just wrote down some big initiatives, some big objectives, some things that I wanted to see God do. And here's the funny thing. I never started to work towards them. I just prayed over. Well, I want us to look at the layout of 2020. Nothing has went according to our plans. Wake up. Here's the news flash. Guys, I need y'all to realize that this year is God's year. Yeah, I'm going to say that one more time for everybody that's trying to outwork God and trying to get ahead of God and trying to outplan God. You need to stop trying to build your own kingdom because clearly this year is God's year. Now, I know you're probably listening to this podcast saying, wait, YB, every year has been God's year. That's true, but he didn't let you know that. See, he let you think that you were in control with your plans and your ideas and your ambitions and all of these little side motives that you were getting so distracted with. But this year, this is the year that God says, I'm going to stop my people from being busy. I'm going to stop my people from being distracted. I'm going to stop my people being dragged away by their desires. And I'm going to bring them back to me. That is why I say this is God's year, because God is moving. God is putting his sovereignty on display. And if you do not understand that, you're going to get left behind. If you do not understand that, you're not going to be able to take another step towards your purpose. Not because God doesn't want to set you up to win, but because he's expanding and he's purging everything that's no longer good for us. God is always doing something new, so that tells me God is always on the move. And if you're so busy trying to build something that you're passionate about, you're never going to be able to serve the mission that God is implementing in this generation. I was talking to my wife and I said, man, babe, isn't it crazy how God literally put the whole world on pause? Everything from overseas to shopping to relationships to church, the building. God put everything on pause. He says, hey, I need you guys to know that no matter what you do, no matter how much money you can accrue within a year, no matter how many sales you can get, no matter how many streams you can attain, I need you guys to all know that when it's all said and done, I am still God. This is also a time where the enemy can take this whole layout and try to destroy you. Saying, see, I knew you weren't called to this. See, I knew you weren't called to speak. See, I knew you weren't called to create. See, I knew you weren't called to make music. But see, all God is saying, stop so I can build you up and make you stronger. Stop so you can actually see the plan that I'm calling you to. And in my grace, I'm going to allow you to play a small role. It's not about us, but God wants to use us. Let me say that and make it very clear. It is not about us, but God wants to use us. When Jesus was being tempted by Satan, in the Bible it says he was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And in that entire process, it was Jesus going through the furnace, being purified by God, right? But that process, that purification process, was 40 days and 40 nights. The people of God were stuck in their wandering for 40 years. They needed to be purified. They needed to understand that God was leading them and that he was calling them to a promised land, but they needed to be a certain type of people. And they were wandering for 40 years. This is 2020. 20 plus 20 is 40. This is the year of purification. This is the year that God's people are going to go through the furnace. If you do not want to be a follower of God, this is the time for you to put your cross down. But if you are going to go to life change, if you are going to go to purpose, if you are going to go towards the glory of God, you have to endure the furnace. It may be hot, it may be hard, you may lose friends, you may be confused, but God will never leave you, nor will he forsake you. You got to understand, we've already been through coronavirus. It's still happening, but you're not out. You're not done. Right now, we're in the midst of this racial tension. If you've had hard conversations, you may have lost some friends. People may not understand your point of view, but you are not out. It's important that if you're listening to this podcast, God is going to get you to a place that you understand that his presence is enough. You cannot wait to be verified by culture. God is saying my presence is enough. You cannot wait to be nominated for a Grammy, to make that song that says, hey, God is still alive in this generation. His presence is enough. And I pray that you're encouraged to keep going. I'm not saying that after this, that this entire year is going to pick up and everything's going to go back to flowers and everything's going to go back to our normal. You might as well forget that. The new normal is this. No matter what I go through, I'm calling and I'm depending on God. That is the new normal. It should have been the normal. But through tragedy is where we get clarity. So soldiers, buckle up. 2020, as you see, is going to be a crazy ride. But God is strengthening his people. Cling to what is good. Seek God. Call out in prayer. Because this is the year of purification. Soldiers, I love you. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Feed Your Mind. Nuggets designed to remind you of the goodness of God. My name is YB, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.